rather than saying we have a $1,500 sign-on bonus that you can capture after 90 days, why don't you instead say, well, John, I'd love to talk to you about that. Out of curiosity, John, is it that you're looking for a sign-on bonus? I'd love to talk. What is going on, everybody? Loris here, founder of Carrier Intelligence, and today I want to talk to you about the power of relationships and why your recruiting here should be focused on building relationships versus focusing on hitting those KPIs like number of hires. All right, and we see this happen all the time. It doesn't matter if you're a smaller carrier that maybe has less than 50 in your fleet, or if you're a larger carrier that has hundreds, if not thousands of power units at your company. Same things happen time and time again. And that is the unique thing about trucking all the time. No matter where you are in the spectrum of size of a company, the practices are oftentimes synonymous no matter how big your company is. If this happen, I think because often recruiters bounce around companies, no different than we sometimes bounce around companies. Practices from a previous company that they heard worked there or that they were using at that company, and now they'll apply those to your company. A company, interesting industry in that everybody does the same thing, everybody gets the same results, and then everybody wonders why they can't find drivers. How big? And I want to really just talk to you about what conversation should look like compared to what it usually looks like. All right. Now, what happens is recruiters are drivers, so day-to-day companies, dials, reaching out to new leads, new prospects, doing follow-up with previous individuals that have applied in the past. There becomes this kind of rote nature of just by those things with a level of monotony, really very down to try to build that relationship. As the same, think about what it is the driver actually wants, because typically the way the call goes is the owner reaches out, for example, and driving to a driver that had just applied. Driver answers, they start fielding questions. You come off as defensive. The driver has the offense, questions at you, asking you about your pay structure, the mileage, equipment type, what color the trucks are, all these different things. And yes, sure, you know how to give them the answer that they asked. Oftentimes it's not the answer that they actually do or need it. Questions they're asking aren't even the right question. So we kind of flip the script. Maintain the power throughout the call of just say this not in a negative manner at all, but the level of our job as the trucking companies, not help the drivers understand where they're at versus where they're trying to get to, and seeing if your company is that vehicle to get them there in between. Driver really comes down to building relationships. So rather than just simply answering, yes, here's our pay structure. I know you guys know it down to the science, right? But applied answering their question of, sure, here's our pay structure. It's this many cents per mile based on this many miles. After this tenure, then you can get to this many cents per mile, etc. Come off said, why don't you try to build the relationship of understanding why they're even asking that question that you. First thing a driver fires off at you, the truck is your sign-on bonus, saying we have a $1,500 sign-on bonus that you can capture after 90 days. Ask you instead, oftentimes it's unanswered. Talk to you about that out of curiosity. What is it that you're looking for a sign-on bonus? And just focusing on building a relationship. It's no different than if you were at a nice adult establishment, and somebody sat down next to you, and you guys are just talking and chatting, and were considering working or looking for a new job. And just start firing off at them. You would try to understand why it is they're even looking for a job to begin with. What happened at their current situation? Is it about where they're at now that understanding them explore new opportunities? And I think that is and seeing really, really important thing that companies as a whole can take away. Applying this basic principle of just treating every phone call as to build a relationship, you're going to have a much better opportunity to actually resonate with that driver and cover what it is that they are looking for. So then that you guys have an option that accommodates exactly what they're looking for, plus a whole lot more. By building that relationship, since driver's guard is going to be down. I think sometimes the what makes the biggest difference. The first are those small things that we take for granted. Different than if I am talking with a new trucking company and considering becoming partners with them, just start firing off data or sign this many tires, etc. These are the things we do. Instead, would focus first on understanding where they're at now. What issues are they having? Love to talk what they're looking to accomplish. Covering all these things to see if there's a potential match. And that's just something that is purely building relationships. You were challenge any recruiters out there, right? And a few calls you make, next few leads that come in, and set the pace a little bit. Just pretend, just imagine that you are sitting next to this person. Would you have the same typical conversation, if they're right next to you, as you usually have on the phone call with them? My guess is no. And the difference between those is that when you're in person, you're going to usually focus on building a relationship more. You shake hands, you smile, all those things that are innate in person. Yes, that can be challenging to accomplish over a phone. I'm telling you, people can hear you smiling. That is a cell phone call. They absolutely can. Really, so if you can just really, really try to do that and put yourself into a relationship building mindset versus a hiring mindset that I have to get this many calls to get this many people to answer, for this many people to submit a full application, this many full apps turns into this many, MBR background checks, yada, yada, yada. Stability. Nowhere in that is anything about building a relationship, okay? So that focus on resonate with quality over quantity, and by just uncovering the true desires of what these drivers are looking for through that relationship building process, you'll have a much better time. It'll be a lot more enjoyable. The drivers will appreciate it, and you guys will stand out among the crowd. So hopefully that was helpful. Reach out if you have any questions. Take care.